Hey, this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva,
Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
and welcome to the SnobOS Show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. Welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of the SnobOS Show. We definitely want to thank you for tuning in with us every week. If you want to get some exclusive content and get access to the live recording of our show, you can head on over to patreon.com/snoboscast to sign up and to get all of the details. With that being said, we are going to kick it off with the lowdown where we talk all things Apple. Brother Tech, we talked last week that you bought all of the things and I bought none of the things from the Wanderlust event. So let's run down your first impression of these new devices. I believe you got the iPhone 15 Pro Max.
hmm
First of all, what color did you get? How was your experience in picking up? Because I know you said last week you weren't going to have it shipped. You were going to go and pick it up.
Yep. So I went and picked it up. Pretty seamless, pretty easy experience. There was a lot of people waiting, but it wasn't long. It wasn't like backed up throughout the whole. There wasn't lines wrapped around the block or anything like that. But it was pretty busy in there. My scheduled time to pick up my device was like 10:30.
Mhm.
The mall that the Apple store is located in opened up, I think, at 10 o'clock. So by the time I got there, there was a nice busyness going on throughout that section of the mall where the Apple store is located. But I showed them my little appointment barcode and they let me in about 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. I had my device. I had my devices. I like you mentioned, I did get a 15 Pro Max in titanium, black titanium, and I actually picked up a iPhone 15 for my wife, and then I also got the Apple Watch Series 9, and I also picked one up for my wife as well. So we both got new phones, new watches. My first impressions of the iPhone 15 Pro Max is definitely lighter than my 14 Pro Max. It's easier to hold. The edges around the sides, I don't even know why I'm showing you because you probably can't see. It's easier to hold. It's not as slippery. The titanium really does, like I mentioned, make a difference in the lightness of it. It
Mhm.
doesn't feel like a Pro Max. It feels like a Pro in my hand,
Hmm.
even though when soon as I compare it next to a 15, I can definitely see the size difference, but it's not a bulky like it was last year. Last year, you
Mhm.
had the 14s and then you had the 14 Pro and a Pro Max, and they were bulky. You could definitely tell a difference with this. It just surprisingly, it just looks like a regular phone, which is actually a good thing because, like I
Mhm.
said, it feels better, it feels sleeker. I haven't put a case on it yet, so I just shove it in my pocket and definitely I can definitely tell a difference. It's easier to hold. I haven't figured out what I'm gonna do with the action button yet. Right now, I just use it for sleep and wake. I mean,
Mhm.
not sleep and wake, for mute and silent. Well, not even mute. Let me third time for to turn the ringer on and off. Let me just
Okay.
say it like that. Like we mentioned, one of the main features of the 15 Pro outside of the titanium casing was the action button and the USB-C port. The action button meaning the most exciting because everything else is kind of old. Um, but I haven't figured out what to do with the action button yet. I haven't figured
Mhm.
out what it is. I may do it. It may be it may change depending on my scenario.
Mhm.
Like for example, my kids are on fall break, so they're out of school for this week. On Saturday, we plan on doing some family fun time. So I may, like, when we go out, take a lot of pictures, do a lot of video. I may switch the action button to be when I press and hold it, it opens up the camera, right?
Mhm.
When I'm done with that event, maybe I'll switch it back to sleep and wake. And
Mhm.
then if I'm out doing something else, like maybe like on Wednesdays, right, when we're recording, I may flip it to where it turns on a focus mode. So I let my family know that I'm on air, I'm recording. I've got a
Mhm.
on air focus mode that I set up, so that notifies my family that I'm recording,
Mhm.
so I may use the button for that, just to press that one button, flips the focus mode and does all the stuff I need for my phone, right? But then when I'm done, I'm not recording. I may switch it back to the sleep
Right.
and wake mode, right? So it may not be a one size fits all, or change it once and then leave it alone. I
Mhm.
may change it a bunch depending on, whatever the scenario is. So, but for the most part, like I said, I haven't played with it yet. The action button to figure out. I haven't sat down with my thoughts
Mhm.
and figured out, all right, what's the one thing that I do all the time that I may need a separate button for? I haven't
Mhm.
done that yet, but we'll see.
So,
Um, Go
question.
ahead.
I've seen a lot of people talk because I know you talked about the titanium. I've seen a lot of people talk about fingerprints and smudges. Have you noticed that?
They are less pronounced than the 14 Pro Max, because the 14 Pro Max had that, I want to say, chrome siding, versus this is
Mhm.
more a darker color. But yeah, there's still fingerprints.
Okay.
Apple lied and said this is fingerproof resistant. It's not that, but it's not that bad. It's not that bad that people are
Okay, because
making it
people
out
are
to be.
going on about, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's everywhere. Look at it."
It's much less than the 14, but it ain't. Apple should have kept the fingerprint resistance feature to themselves, because
Yeah.
it ain't that.
And then the other thing is, you mentioned that you don't have a case on, you just kind of put it in your pocket. Um, have you noticed anything with the sturdiness? Because anytime there's new Apple products, or especially when it comes to a design change, this guy was like, "Look, you can break your phone," and he put his thumbs on there. He was like, "See, if you press it really
That's so
hard," and
stupid.
I'm like, first of all, nobody's doing that. Even if you
And
put it
number
in your
2, if
pocket,
you
and if you
if you
sit down, it's not gonna do that either.
if you do that to anything, well, not
It's
anything,
going to if
right?
you do it to any phone, it's
If you
likely
try
going to do it. Yeah.
if you try to break something, you will break it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my suggestion is, don't try to break it.
Oh,
Like you are saying, there are videos to where people are saying, this is surprisingly not as sturdy. But if you go back to the 14, people said the same thing. You go
yeah.
back to the 13, you go back to the 12, the 11, the 10s. They all said the same thing when the first news, when the phones start to roll out. What is going to get the views and the clicks and the links?
Yeah.
Well, what's going to get it is, I buy a brand new 11, 12, $1,300 phone and I break it.
Mhm.
People will watch that, versus me saying, "Oh, the action button. I'm not figured out what I'm gonna do with the action button yet." Nobody cares about that. What people will watch is, I just bought this $1,300 phone. Watch me break it. They're like, subscribe. So I think that's a little bit of that. So don't believe the hype train on the sturdiness of the phone. I mean, of course, you got to take care of your phone, and it is a expensive piece of metal and glass. And if
Mhm.
you drop a expensive piece of metal and glass,
It's
it's
going to
going to
break
break.
like any other phone would.
Like
Yeah.
any other anything,
Okay.
you drop an expensive watch on the ground, is going
Yeah.
to crack. You know.
Pretty much dropping anything on concrete or any hard surface, it's going to break because
Yeah.
things are fragile.
So yeah. So that is my first impressions of the phone. Like I said, it feels real good. Like when I used to hold the 14, it used to, when I rested in the palm of my hand right here,
Mhm.
it used to kind of bother me after a while, because I'm
Mhm.
I'm rested in the palm of my hand down there, and after a
Mhm.
while, with those not sharp, with those more rigid corners on the 14,
It would kinda dig in your
it
hand.
kind of dig in my palm. Versus this, I don't get any of that. I still have to use two hands, because, like I said, I got average hands, and it is a larger phone, so I do have to use two hands frequently. But it does feel better. It does feel, that's the probably the main thing from the 15. It feels much better. I haven't put the camera through its paces yet. I did take a couple of pictures. Me and my wife went out this weekend, and I took a couple of pictures with me and her, and I took a couple of pictures of some other stuff at the event. And then they had actually had a photographer there,
Mhm.
with like a for real camera,
Mhm.
DSLR, taking pictures. So I looked at my pictures in my photo album, and then I got a link from the email from the photographer
Mhm.
that uploaded all the pictures, and then you got the chance to buy one. Like if the picture of me and my wife, I wanted to buy one, I could click and buy it, right?
Mhm.
So I found one, I bought it. I held that joint up next to the pictures that I took on my phone. I'm like,
Mhm.
I cannot tell
Wow.
these pictures apart at all. So,
What is that, the telephoto lens or
it was just regular pictures. I didn't do anything
Oh,
special. I had a
huh.
flash on, had nighttime mode, um, and that's it. I didn't do any special tweaks to the camera, because we went out. I picked it up on Friday. We went out on Saturday night, so I really had at that time. I was just like, and we were ripping and running the whole day
Mhm.
prior leading up to that. So it's like I haven't had time yet, because the kids are out this week from fall break, so we're busy with them. So I haven't really had time to kind of like really dig through the phone outside of setting it up. Because one thing I
Mhm.
did do this year, unlike other years, is I did a fresh install quotes. I didn't restore from a backup. I
Mm.
did sync over my iCloud data, which brought over my text messages, brought over my notes,
Mhm.
reminders, calendars, anything in iCloud, pictures, brought all that stuff over. But as far as like phone settings, as far as apps, as far as all those other
Oh,
little
wow, you started from
notifications,
scratch on apps?
yeah,
Wow.
notifications, any of those little tweaks that you have set up over the years and they
Mm.
just carry over from phone to phone to phone.
Mhm.
I was like, nope, I'm a fresh install outside of the iCloud stuff. That's the most important stuff to me anyway.
Right.
But, anything else, like logging into websites, iCloud did bring over bookmarks. But other than that, I try to treat it like a brand new phone, so it's
Mm.
like every 5 minutes, I'm downloading the app. It's like, "Oh, yeah, I do need the app. Let me go download it," and I gotta log in and set up the notifications, so that's taking most of the time. I haven't
Mhm.
actually had time to, like, play around with the camera because what I really wanna do is take one of those super high res Apple ProRes videos and connect
Mm.
like a little hard drive to my phone and see how those videos look. Because I do have one of those small USB-C hard drives.
Mhm.
And since the iPhone 15 Pro Max lets you connect to an external hard drive, in theory, I haven't tried it out, but in theory, I can take video and the video goes straight to the hard drive. The video don't even touch my phone. It goes straight to my hard drive. So I want to try
Mm.
that out. And if that works, I may do that when I'm doing like real high end like home videos or
Mhm.
vacation pics or something like that.
I know I've seen it seems that the USB-C port, people have people are really using that
Mhm.
in so many different scenarios,
Mhm.
and who would have thought that a port change would really be the selling point
Yep.
for people with this iPhone? Sure, the camera's great. Sure, the new titanium, whatever. But it seems to me, for what I've seen from people talking about the new phone, it's the versatility that you get with this USB-C port
Yep.
that has everybody just going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Right. For example, I did try to plug it up to my AirPods and see if my phone charged up my AirPods.
Mhm,
It works. As soon as I plug them up, it recognizes and tries to charge up my AirPods. Another thing that you like to allude to what you were saying, people are really trying to, not really trying to, they are testing out the ability to connect your phone to an external display, like
mhm,
external monitor. And they're doing that to where they're connecting a keyboard and they're connecting a mouse all through Bluetooth, and they're
mhm,
connecting external display via USB-C port on the 15, and they're kind of running it as a mini computer. So I've seen
mhm,
videos of people doing that. I've seen videos of people using it as a gaming system. So they'll do the same thing, but instead of connecting the keyboard and the mouse, they'll go get like an Xbox or a PlayStation 5 controller
mhm,
and then connect that via Bluetooth and then connect the external display. So they've got a mobile portable gaming system to where they're not
mhm,
even using the phone. They're just using the phone as a console, for lack of
mhm.
a better term. So yeah, to just reiterating on what you said, yeah, people are finding a whole lot of use cases for the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max um, outside of just because of that one little change.
Yeah, cool. What about the Series 9?
No change.
No change. I guess maybe not until October when we get the double tap situation.
Maybe that was a that the Series 9 purchase for me was one of those, you know what, FOMO, I'm
I'm
just gonna
here,
get
so
it.
I might as well get it.
I might as well get it. It really doesn't do anything new or different from last year's version outside of it just being new. Like it's like you
Mm,
mentioned, when they get the other features, specifically that double tap thing, the finger tap
mhm,
or whatever they call it, maybe that'll add some new stuff to it. But
mhm,
watchOS 10, the new operating system,
mhm.
pretty much, turned everybody's phone that has compatibility with watchOS 10, turned it into a new watch, which
Yeah.
is I'm kind of bummed that I did do the public betas,
Mhm.
because again, at that, maybe if I would have got a new phone, I mean, I'm sorry, if I would have got a new watch and a new OS, I'd have been
Without
like,
the
oh
beta.
yeah, I
Yeah,
can do this and do that. But by the time I got the watch, I was already acclimated to the OS. So it's just like
yeah,
I just got to replace my watch.
yeah. Cool. Well, that's good to know. Again, I did not purchase anything at this current moment. I don't plan on purchasing anything because I did see the natural titanium and it looks like a duller silver.
It's like sand glitter.
Yeah. So I was like, and again, I don't think there's much change between the 14 Pro and the 15 Pro, and I have the Pro. And to me, I just think the Pro Max is still just too big. I would have to hold it and, see if,
It's a big phone. It's
yeah.
definitely a big phone. Um, also, I actually, so I was going to get the AirPods Pro 2 with the
Hmm.
USB-C port,
Hmm.
and I didn't chicken out, but I had pre-ordered it through Best Buy because Best Buy was like had $50 off or something, made it like $199. So I was like, bet I'll just do that.
Hmm.
Pre-ordered one from my local store, Best Buy. I was gonna do the same thing after I picked up the phones and the watches. I was gonna go over to the Best Buy and pick up the AirPods.
Hmm.
They said it was ready. I went over to Best Buy and they were like, "Oh, yeah, we've had a lot of people order it, so, we don't even have any available for you." And I was like, "So, as in, like, you don't have any available for me right now, and I should come back in, like, a couple of hours?" And it was
Hmm.
like, "No, we don't know when it'll be available, we'll Best Buy will send you an email when, it's available for you to pick up." And I was like, "All right, cool." Got in my car, cancel order.
So they didn't have any.
They didn't have any at the Best Buy, and I was like, "Well, the whole reason why I came to Best Buy because it was like $50 off. I don't wanna go
Yeah.
to Apple and buy one for regular price." So I was like, "You
Yeah.
know what?" I went to my car, cancel order.
Saved yourself 200 bucks.
Save myself 200 bucks. So I do feel good about that I was able to resist the temptation. And it was convenient. Like I said, if
Yeah.
they would have had them there, I would have had one. But maybe that was God. It's like, you don't need that. So I'm gonna put this little roadblock in your way.
All right, that is going to wrap up first impressions. So, in addition to the new devices that everyone was picking up, macOS Sonoma was released on yesterday, and I did update um, my OS this morning,
Mhm,
but with the new Sonoma, it has the interactive widgets, desktop widgets, which I've added some things to my desktop widgets.
mhm,
It kind of hovers over the screen so you can kind of see, you know, what's going on based on what you customize it to put it there. So that's
mhm,
kind of neat. You can get iPhone widgets,
mhm,
on the Mac now. So when I was setting it up, it had a little tab at the bottom that asked if you wanted, it was desktop, widgets or iPhone widgets. So I thought that
mhm,
was kind of cool. Autocorrect is improved. You get profiles now on Safari, similar to what you have on a Google Chrome. You can add doc in Safari. Um, Filters get an update in messages. links in notes. So now in notes, you can kind of set it up to look a bit like a wiki page.
Mhm.
So that kind of gives you a little bit of shift in there. Um, game mode, which is full screen, gaming for full screen. I don't game on my um, laptop, so that doesn't
Me
really help
neither.
me. But for people who do, I guess that's great. And then now you can talk to the assistant. I won't say her name
Mhm.
because my whole office will light up. You can do
Mhm.
that now by just saying her name without including the "hey" in
Right,
front of it.
right.
So, I thought what was cool when I first, installed it, uh, the wallpaper
Yep,
or the screensaver,
yep,
it moves now. So
yep,
if you pick one of the ones that move, I was like, "Okay, this is kind of
yep,
neat."
yep. No, that was agreeing. That was probably one of the best features that I played around with the most on macOS Sonoma because, I catch myself looking at my Apple TV screen
Mhm,
when it goes, inactive
mhm.
and, to do like, cityscapes, forest, or whatever the case may be, and you actually catch yourself sitting there looking at it for a while. I was like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be doing something."
'Cause it's
So
kinda soothing.
yeah, so same thing with macOS Sonoma, you can set it up like, Nika mentioned, to where when you lock the screen or after the screen is inactive after however many minutes, it'll do like the moving screensaver, and some of them are pretty dope, especially
Yeah.
if you've got the bigger screens, you got the
Mhm.
newer, M1 Mac, the M1, M2, silicon from Apple. It really looks pretty dope. So that I was agreeing in fact that that's probably one of the dopest things with, macOS Sonoma. The
And it has
widgets.
lots of options too. They
Mhm,
have a few different, options for the, live action, for lack of a better
mhm.
word,
A
screensavers.
Right, and you can kinda do that with in on your iPhone with the live photos. So if you've got a really nice live photo, which I don't think people use as much, I
Mm-mm.
don't use as much,
Mm.
to where if you leave it on live and you take a picture, your phone actually records like a couple seconds before
Mhm.
the actual still shot is taken. So you could probably get a nice, like for instance, like if you are taking a picture, if you're on the beach and
Mhm.
you're taking a live photo of the water washing onto the shore, and you do that as a live photo, you could take that live photo and save it as a iPhone wallpaper that'll do that little movement. So I thought that was pretty cool, but I haven't played around with that yet. But again, when I saw macOS Sonoma with the rolling wallpaper, I was like,
Mhm.
you know what, I may try that, on my phone once I get a nice scenery or a nice scenic, image or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be.
Yep.
The only other thing that I thought was interesting or that I played with was the note linking. I've already
Mhm.
done that a couple times. Referencing other notes in my notes basically is what it
Mhm.
is. You can actually link to another note, and the widgets. So I do have a couple of widgets
Mhm.
on, basic ones, my to-do list, calendar, got some a photo album, a favorites photo album that I put up there, and then like stock tickers,
Yeah.
so that's about it. So that's cool. They're interactive as well. So
Yeah.
when I want to mark something off my to-do list, I can just click that to-do list that's showing in the widget versus clicking on the widget and then open up the reminders app and then I got to click on the task to mark it completed. So the same interactive widgets that are on the phone are now have come to the Mac. And that's
And it gives you different sizes as well, so you can kinda
right.
customize it if you want
Mhm.
it, like, little square, if you want it bigger or larger, you can kinda customize whatever widget you're showing and order it, the way that's aesthetically pleasing to you,
Yeah, well,
depending on your
absolutely.
preferences.
But other than that, like I said, again, got kind of burned by running the public beta early. So it
Mhm.
wasn't Christmas earlier this week. It was kind of like I went to go run an update and it was like, you're already updated. I was like, man. So I
Fine.
said it before, but I will for real this time when iOS 18 and macOS, whatever they call it, come up next year, I am not downloading the betas. I'm going to wait just like the regular common folk. And when everybody gets iOS, then I'll be able to be more energetic about it. But right now it's kind of like, yeah, I've been doing this for like 2 weeks now. So I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. I guess. Um, Next up, if you thought that you had time with iOS 17 and Apple was gonna take a breather after Wonderlust and after iOS 17, OS 17 or watchOS, tvOS, all the OSs that came out. Um, no, the betas for each of those. So iOS 17.1, watchOS 10.1, tvOS 17.1, macOS 14.1 were released today as well. So developers can now get their hands on that and make any updates that are needed. So I think probably biggest um the biggest thing I think for watchOS 10.1
Mm,
is it includes
allegedly.
the it includes the pinching well double tap I think is what they call it
Right.
feature
Mhm.
for for um for the new Apple Watch,
Mhm.
Series 9. So it's one of those things where they are preparing folks to be able to use that, um, I guess, for people to update their apps because of this new sensor that gives them what is it? That gives them the access to what's coming down. I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest change for watch OS. I think for iOS, there is some changes to Apple Music and AirDrop. Um, yeah, so enables ability to favorite a song, uh, favorite songs and albums in Apple Music. I'm just kind of scanning through this article to see because I don't think I included it in the show notes. Um, AirDrop, you'll be
Data
able to
transfer,
transfer the data transfers for that. And I
uh-huh.
think for the sorry, going back to watchOS 10.1, the name drop from the Apple Watch is going
Oh,
to
you
be
know what? I
included
haven't
in that.
tried that yet. I have not tried that yet.
Yep. Um,
So what Apple needs to be working on, I can't substantiate this, because I don't have a problem with it on my phone, but a lot of people are complaining that the iPhone 15, I don't know if it's the 15 or the Pros or the Pro Max is, suffering from overheating. A lot
yeah,
of
I was
people.
gonna ask you about that because people are complaining.
Yep, yep, yep. People are complaining that, um, one of the things people were complaining about was the, um, the transition from the side to the actual screen. There was like a little ridge there that people could like feel versus right on my phone. I really once I slide my finger over from the side to the screen, there's really no gap. Some
Mhm,
people were saying there was a some people or users were explaining that there was an actual gap there that wasn't as seamless. And
mhm,
another thing, like I already mentioned, is some people were complaining that their phones was overheating once they take it off the charger and really start to use it, whether it be listening to music, whether it be watching a video, whatever the case may be. It got super duper hot.
mhm.
Again, I haven't had that feature. I mean, I haven't had that issue, but maybe it's enough for Apple to push out one of these early beta releases, see if that fixes the issue. I can't even see where Apple has acknowledged that the overheating is an issue, but I mean, people are talking about it. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I have to say I did try the transfer, the
uh huh,
contact,
uh huh,
the AirDrop, because I
yeah,
think a friend of mine was sending a picture and, you get to see the kinda like the
uh
little
huh,
wave type thing.
yeah,
So, that was kinda neat.
yeah. Now I
Yeah.
did it from phone to phone. I haven't
Yeah,
done
but
it from phone to watch.
yeah.
Yeah.
What else? It looks like there's a change with Apple Podcasts showing the full screen, showing the artwork for whatever the full screen is. What else do they have? Um in iOS 17.1 also enables support for seeing credit card and bank balances for the wallet app. And kind of that seems to be the biggest things for that.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think they announced any significant, probably whatever's in iOS 17.1 beta is going to be the same thing or
Yep.
similar in
Yep.
iPad OS. All right. I think that we are going to wrap up the lowdown with that. We had something else we were going to talk about, but we can talk about that later because we are nearing the end of the lowdown segment. So, with that being said, we are going to head on over to second string where we talk other tech. The story that we were going to the last story that we were going to talk about um in the lowdown, it kind of relates to this, so maybe we can talk about it a little bit here. So the Meta conference, I think is called Connect, was this week, and um, what's your guy Zuckerberger announced some new things. So they got a new Oculus coming out, and that's where the other story was. Zuckerberger threw a little shade at the Apple Vision Pro, saying that their new device doesn't have a battery or
And no
cables.
wires. Yeah.
Yeah, wires. Yeah. So, throwing a little shade there. But what I did see that was fairly interesting was, in addition to their their new Oculus,
Hmm.
they announced new smart glasses, and
Hmm.
it is a collaboration with Ray-Ban.
Hmm.
So let's take a look. I believe I have it up for those of you who are um, watching. You
Hmm.
can get a little look at what the new Ray-Ban smart glasses look like. And apparently, you can live stream
Right. Which is about
um,
all you can do.
with these with these glasses. So I think it's more of the look.
Hmm.
Um, and I think something what did they say? Audio. So this is pretty much a rework of something that they already had. And I think Amazon has some version of this as well for Alexa. But this new I think the article that we're reading from Gizmodo says that they were called stories, but
Hmm.
now it's called Ray-Ban Meta Smart Glasses,
Hmm.
and they're more stylish. Again, like I said, they have like a camera built into them, so you can kind of live stream. The speakers apparently get an upgrade, so they're about 50% louder and offer more bass for music, calls, and podcasts. So, in addition to streaming, you can listen to stuff as well. And Meta says you'll even be able to hear them through windy and noisy traffic. So, I guess thoughts on this new Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses.
My first, my first nasty thought went to, oh yeah, these are gonna be big in the porn community. But according to this story, it says the Meta smart glasses have a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera capable of recording 1080p videos up to 60 seconds, making it easy to take blah 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 blah. So I think 60 seconds, while maybe enough for some people, um, you would think, if you're trying to shoot some scenes, you probably
Right.
need a little bit longer than 60 seconds. So, that may be too much of a hassle for people in the quote industry to have to deal with that for just 60 seconds.
Yeah. But if you're
Um,
trying to capture like a moment, say you're at the beach and your kids are jumping or whatever,
mhm.
then instead of pulling out your camera, you will be able to do it from these
Yeah, you can,
glasses,
right. You can go live to Instagram and Facebook, which
obviously.
makes sense. And they have the speakers to where if you wanted to listen to some music or listen to playback, whatever the case may be, you can do that. So, all that to say, they look good. They look like what I envision augmented reality glasses from Apple to look like. They look
Mhm,
like regular prescription glasses or sunglasses
mhm.
with the added functionality of a camera, which I'm kind of like, I really don't need a camera. I got a $1,300 phone, I'll figure it out, right? But
Right.
I want like the augmented reality to where I can read text messages, I can look at driving directions or walking directions, I can, check email.
Give me Minority Report. They said
Right, right,
it
right,
was
real
gonna
quick.
happen. Give
And
me
if and it
Minority
and it
Report.
follow my eye, so if I'm looking down, it'll kinda do an automatic scroll if I'm reading, like, a text message or an email or a Facebook post or whatever the case may be. You do that, I am all in. I don't care how much you want. You can't take my money fast enough. So I'm just gonna wait, for that. But until then, if you are a big video person, which I am not, I could see you being at an event or, like you mentioned, being with family and you want those candid moments. You don't have
Mm,
to pull out your phone and say, all right, hold up, hold up, hold up. Let me get my phone and fumble around to try to get to the video. I don't know if you tap the side of these. I don't know if you say something. I don't know what you do to
yeah.
actually indicate or start off, the recording. But
Mhm.
whatever that is, it's got to be easier than me going and shuffling around grabbing for my phone when I could just already have the camera on my face capturing the moments.
Right. So the Ray-Ban Meta Smart glasses run on Snapdragon AR1, the AR1 Gen 1 processor. It is IPX4 water resistant, meaning that it can take a light water splashes, so you can't go swimming in them.
Hmm.
Um, it also gets 4 to 6 hours of battery life. So not a lot of battery life on that, so you have to be very strategic on the way you use them. The other interesting thing is that it includes a case that can charge them up to 8 times. So my
Hmm.
question is, after you're done with the 8 times, can you not use that case anymore? You have to buy another case?
I'm assuming you charge the case, kind of like I got some gaming
Oh, okay.
joysticks
Gotcha.
that the
Gotcha.
case that they come in, you can actually plug the case up, and the case
Gotcha.
can charge the joysticks while I'm not in use. I
Okay.
take it out of the case, I use it. As soon as I put them back in the case, it's plugged up. You can charge. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know, but that'd be my best guess.
Okay, so you can charge them up to 8 times on a single charge from the case,
Right,
it
right.
sounds like. Okay. The other thing, if you are interested in this, they will start shipping October 17th in 15 countries, including US, Canada, Australia, and throughout Europe. You can pre-order starting at $300. So they aren't super expensive, but I guess for what you'll use them for, well, for um what they can do,
Mhm.
it's
Cause I
probably in line with the price.
because I don't know how much Ray-Bans cost. I would assume they're like 100 or so dollars,
Yeah.
somewhere in there, 150, something like that.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, that's not $300 is not bad for a pair of Ray-Bans that can play music and can record and shoot videos.
Yep. All right. That is going to wrap it up for second string. We're going to head on over into for the culture where we talk about anything really that we want to talk about. Whether it be social, whether it be entertainment, social media, cultural, whatever the case may be. There are a lot of things that went on in social media this week, and I was just over it. And I was like, I really don't want to talk about that because people have been draining on social media lately. But I did want to note something that I think affects all of us, and coming down to the time of year we're in. The writers and the actors have been on strike,
Mhm.
contesting trying to come up with a new contract that pays them more. AI influence was a heavy factor into that. Well, the union from the writers and the motion picture studios, they were able to come to an agreement, and that strike has ended as of midnight tonight. While they finalize the paperwork, writers can get back to working, which is great because I think they were on strike for like 5 months. Now we still have the actors striking, so hopefully now that they got the directors were settled a long time ago, now they have the writers in a new contract. Hopefully, the actors will be following next. But I mention this because This strike on the entertainment side has ended, but the auto workers, the what is
Mhm.
it, the UAW, they are currently striking. So Ford, GM, and Stellantis, they have workers who are currently striking, and some of the CEOs, these companies, they were giving interviews, right as a strike was starting, and they were pretty much getting hammered because it's like you're making, tens of millions of dollars, and the folks who are working in the plants aren't very happy, obviously, because they decided to strike. President Biden was on the strike
The picket
line,
lines.
picket lines, that's the word I was looking for, the picket
Mhm.
lines, yesterday. So it's one of those things where workers are really fighting back, against some of the corporate interests to make sure that they get their fair share, which is reasonable. It's fair if these companies are making all this money.
Especially if the executives are making all that money and, during the pandemic and they made gobs of money and, these auto workers, instead of sharing the profits with the employees, they do share buybacks. So the shareholders, get their little, extra little dollars, but the people who are actually
Doing the work.
building, putting the cars together, they are the last ones being considered when it comes to sharing profits.
Mhm.
So it's like, all right, well, if y'all ain't gonna share the profits, then we ain't got no choice but to hit y'all in your pockets, even if it is hard and
It's us
taxing
too.
on the regular people.
Yeah.
Because, no disrespect to regular people, but ain't nobody got emergency savings. Don't nobody save up 3, 6 months of their salary, just in case something like this happens. So I'm pretty sure they are feeling it, the
As
I'm
well.
pretty sure. Well, I was talking to my wife, and I think we even looked it up to see if the unions had some sort of fund that
Mhm.
employers pay into that provides some sort of relief and
Mhm.
resources when they go on strike. I'm pretty sure that's peanuts compared to what people's monthly
Actual
bills are.
salary. Yeah.
So yeah, all that to say, they're feeling it, but it's just like, all right, if we got to take a black eye, we about to give you pneumonia
Yeah.
because
And
that's the only way
obviously
y'all gonna be able to pay
striking
attention.
works.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully they can get to a resolution that is comfortable for everybody so that folks can get back to work, because I want to say that they have scabbing. I thought scabbing was only in the entertainment side of strikes. No, it's on the manufacturing side too. So I think I saw that GM was hiring um basically non-union workers and paying them $14 an hour, I believe,
Mm.
and they were calling them scabs. And the people who are picketing, they're picketing in front of
Where the people got to walk through
where
to
the
go to
people gotta
work.
work, and they were,
Hmm.
like, like, getting in their way, really saying,
It
"You're
is
going in
not
here
worth
to
it.
work, but you will never be able to be in the union because you're scabbing, so we'll never this is the only work that you will be able to work. You won't be able to get into the auto workers union because you're going against the union."
For $14 an hour? Nah, you
Yeah.
ain't gonna get me to be no scab.
Mm-mm.
You had to be
Nah.
paying it had to be 30, $40 an hour for me to be like,
Yeah.
"All right, I'll deal with
I'll
you."
risk it.
Yeah, 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 but I know $14, please. I can get that.
Yeah.
Minding my business at McDonald's.
Right. It probably more because I think minimum wage at McDonald's now is like $15 an hour, so
Mhm.
you're not even, getting, decent money.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, that is going to wrap up for the culture. We are gonna head on over to the hookup for our tech tip of the week.
All right, all right. So, like I mentioned, or like we mentioned, iOS 17 came out last week, right before the phones came out, and like I mentioned earlier, I've been going through trying to reset up all my settings because I did a fresh install, quote air quotes, on my iPhone 17, and the only data that came over was my data that was currently stored in iCloud. Everything else I had to go set up from scratch. One of the things that I noticed, I don't know if this was iOS 16, but one thing I did notice by going and changing some of my settings is there's a new way when you're in messages to add things to a message, whether it be a picture, whether it be location, whether it be cash apping somebody, whether it be sharing a YouTube, TikTok, social media video, whatever the case may be. They've got a new menu system for that. But if all you do is share pictures, like you take a picture and you want to share with your group chats or whatever the case may be, this new way, you have to take 2 or 3 taps just to get to your recent photos that you can then share in the Messages app. But this hookup that I'm going to show you is a way to quickly access your recent photos. And what you do is you open the Messages app, you start a new message, and at the lower left hand corner, there's a plus symbol. If you just press the plus symbol, it'll pull up this menu. And then, depending on where the photos option is in that menu, you may have to scroll up or whatever the case may be. But instead of just tapping that plus button, if you press and hold the plus button, it'll automatically take you to a window at the bottom that shows your most recent photos so you can quickly share those. So that's my tip for this week. If you are on an iPhone on iOS 17 and you need a quick way to share your recent photos in the Messages app, press and hold that plus symbol that brings up that additional menu. If you press and hold it, it'll skip the menu and take you directly to your recent photos.
Nice. And definitely we'll be looking out for all of your hookup tips as we try and navigate our way through all of these new OSs
Yep.
that we have. So definitely keep an ear out for that. All right. That is going to wrap up the show this week. Brother Tech, where can the people find you?
Sure, you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BrothaTech.
And you can find me at Tech Savvy Diva all over the internets as well. Again, to connect, comment, share, or support our show, you can head on over to snoboscast.com to get all of the details. And that's going to wrap it up this week. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.